Hi Flosstube friends, I'm Sherry, Colorado Cross Stitcher here on Flosstube and also on Instagram and at coloradocrossstitcher.com. Thank you so much for joining me today. I have a ton of stuff on this dining room table to show you. So let's jump right in. First of all, my calendar. I think the last time I did a Flosstube was March. So here's the rest of March. And April. I think I already showed you March. Here's the rest of April. And then just a little bitty bit in May so far. Think of all those days of stitching I'm going to fill in by the next time I see you. Okay, so today I want to talk about, I have some starts and finishes that you haven't seen. Putting that on the floor. I have some brand new starts. I have a free pattern that is our Summer Cross Stitch Camp badge. So we're going to talk about Summer Cross Stitch Camp. I'm going to talk about personalizing your patterns. If you want some ideas for making patterns more your own or different things you can change up. So we're going to talk about that. I have my 3 things. We have a giveaway. So lots to go over today. First, I want to show you, now everybody is making these on Instagram. So I made one. It's a little jewelry case. I didn't take the time to zip it up because I'm just going to open it up. So this is a jewelry case I've had for a long time, and I keep seeing these really cute redos of these jewelry cases or vintage jewelry cases into little accessory cases, and I just thought that was such a cute idea. So I made this one. I'm going to take all the little things out so I can show you first. So this one has a divider, and I'll show you the back of that. But basically I took everything out of here. So this was a piece of cardboard that goes all around. I pulled that out. I covered it with fabric. This was a little ring. It had those little, pieces of foam that you can stick your rings in. So I took that out. Covered this. This was a mirror, and I had my husband cut a little piece of steel, tin, whatever, to make it magnetic so that I could put my needle minders and my needles on there. And then I just trimmed that in gingham ribbon. And then the back side is this. I just put a few buttons in there because they were the right color. Again, I pulled this cardboard wall out. I pulled the bottom piece out, put a little piece of batting, and then covered it with the fabric. Same here. I had my husband cut a piece of foam core, and I covered it and put batting on it so that I could stick counting pins in it. And then I found this little button at Hobby Lobby, I guess. Tied that on. So anyway, you can keep all of your things in here. So scissors, I have a little screwdriver. No, this is a little sharp, put a hole through it, kind of all, and a little screwdriver. These 2 things came from my grandmother's sewing basket. Then I have this cute little, I don't know, it's a piece of cardboard that I just did a little collage on just for fun. Put that in there because I also did this thread keep, also collaged. Now I want to tell you, there are some really cool vintage sewing PDFs on Etsy. So if you go to Etsy and you just type in vintage sewing PDF, you'll come up with all kinds of cute little things that you can cut up. So there were, I don't know, vintage scissors. There was a whole page of the ends of spools, old vintage sewing spools. What else did I get? Buttons, all of those old-fashioned needle cases that are so cool. So look on there because I think it's like $2 to $3 for a PDF, and then you can print as many as you want, and you can go to town on doing some of this collage work. I also took one of my Scotch tape. It was a Scotch tape tin, little antique or vintage tin that I've had a long time. I put one of the spool labels on there, and then I cut out, this is a don't do what I did. I cut out a little heart because I liked the hand, and I thought, well, I'll just make a heart and hand. I cut the heart out of a ribbon. I did the Mod Podge on it, and a little piece of the thread from the ribbon got up above the ribbon. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know why I'm showing it to you, because I'm going to do it over. So I hope I can sand it down, sand it off. I'll replace the spool label, and then I will cut the little heart out of a piece of scrapbook paper. So that will work a little bit better. But it was super fun to put together. I made another little thread keep as well. And I have another one that I want to do. Not yet, but I'm going to do another one of these days, because it was just fun to do. So I encourage you, and if you don't follow Tanya the Scarlet House on Instagram, you should, because I've been seeing a lot of these different cases, and then she put hers up and I'm like, okay, well now I have to make it, because that is so dang cute. And she did a lot of extra things that I want to do next time, like she has a ruler that she put some ephemera on, and I can't remember the other things, little tags, a little notebook. It's adorable. So go check out the Scarlet House on Instagram if you don't already follow her. So that's number one. Now let's get into stitching. So last night I stitched a little thing, and this is just, it's on 46 count, and I stitched 1/1 because I want this to fit in a little tiny thing. And that's the size I had to do it. So it's just a pattern that I pulled together basically based on some motifs I've seen, but I changed most all of them. Anyway, I still have it in the hoop because I have to do a little bit more, but this is, seeing if I can get a piece of fabric on the back so it doesn't bleed through. So this is the little teeny tiny 1/1. I stitched it in Tudor silk, one strand of Tudor silk, and I used a 28 needle. I like using 28 needles, but that Tudor silk, I'm telling you what, you have to pay attention to the end, because I must have rethreaded it, I don't know, 20 times. It's so tiny, it kept coming out. I did do full crosses on this, and I have to say I kind of enjoyed it. I was glad when it was done, although I need to do some, some more stuff with it. But anyway, I'm not sure that it's going to be a regular, no. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a regular thing for me, stitching 1/1 on 46 count, but I'll show you what I did with it, maybe on my next Flosstube. So that was the first project. I don't know where to put things. I have so many things here. Okay, next project. Now first I'm going to show you a finish. Do you remember my Quaker Christmas 2 that I did last year? Remember, I all of a sudden realized that I had put 2022 on that, somewhere on here, 2022, like, I don't know, in the summertime or early fall, and then I caught sight of this project, and it was done to about there. I still had all this. Caught sight of it in November and thought, shoot, I got to get that done in 2022. So I did finish it. I'm showing you this because I started another one that I think is going to be kind of a companion piece to this. So I used sulky, a red and a green sulky, which I love to use, sulky threads on 36 count, because it's one strand, it comes on a spool, you just reel off how much you want. The other pattern I started this time is also green and red. Well, I'm making it in green and red. And it's the opposite. So there's more green than red. So I think these will look fun together because they'll be the same colors. But one is has a predominance of red and the other has it of green. So this was the inspiration to start this next one. And it is this one. And the actual colors called for in this are gray and red, which would also be beautiful. But when I saw the pattern myself, I saw green and red in that pattern. And this is from Historic Stickmuster. I know I said that wrong. It's just a new line that we've started carrying. I'll tell you about that at the end when I do shop talk. But I love this because this reminds me so much of Germany, and that's of course where they're from. One of my favorite things, I have a very, very dear friend who lives in Germany, and so I've been there several times, and one of my favorite things about Germany is when you fly in and the grass is so green and all the rooftops are so bright red. It's just beautiful. So that's what this reminds me of here. You could easily just do this center panel or even just a row of the houses with the alphabet underneath it and turn it into a drum, but I want to do the whole thing. So I did start that, and this is how far I got. And I don't know, somehow, for some reason, I love working on Quaker motifs. It's just, you go row by row, and then all of a sudden you have this beautiful medallion of something, and I just think it's so fun. I really wanted to start in the middle because I wanted to start on the houses, and I decided, no, I'm going to start in the corner, I'm going to work down to the house, and I'm going to keep going that way, because if I do all the houses first, even though I just said I loved stitching the Quaker medallions, I just want to get the whole thing, just kind of move from one side to the other and get it done. But it was super fun to stitch, and again, I'm using the same green and red that I used in the Quaker Christmas, and I probably will do kits for this too. We have kits for Quaker Christmas too. I will probably do kits for this one as well, eventually. So that was one of my starts, and then okay, I'm going to bypass that one for now. The next thing I did was 2023 Collector's Heart, and that's from Heart in Hand, and it comes with a little wooden button with the pattern. It comes with the thread, it comes with the fabric, so it's a whole kit. Currently out of stock, more shipping this week. And so this is the one I did. Put this behind. So the thread actually ended up being quite a bit darker than on the pattern, but that was fine. It's still a pretty pattern. And then down here in the corner, you can see the little button. And I bought a frame to frame this, and I got one similar to this in that it's thick. It's not the same design, but it's a thick, heavy looking frame, and I think it's going to look kind of cool when I frame it. So I had fun stitching that one. Okay, I was apparently into the reds this time, because the next one I stitched and finished. I'll see if I can take it out of here. Is the Pennsylvania Dutch Tomato Pin Keep, which I told you all I wanted to do. It was in my bag of small possibilities. I finished 3 things out of my bag of possibilities since last time, so now I get to fill it up again. I'm so excited. So this is by With Thy Needle and Thread. And I think I'm going to send this away to someone to have them finish for me, because I am not confident in my ability to do all of that. So I have not finished it yet, because I wanted you to see what it looks like all drawn out like that. Because when it's in a drum, you can only see one side at a time. So isn't that the cutest? It was super fun to stitch. Some mirror images. At the top though, you've got a turkey. Oh, looks like a turkey. A turkey on one side and a pair of scissors on the other, and of course the alphabet tossed in there to kind of keep things interesting. But it was a super quick to stitch little project. And I can't wait to find somebody to fix it for me, to do it up and get it back, because it's going to be adorable. The next one I did from my little small book bag of possibilities is this one from Primrose Cottage, Fresh Lemonade. And I may try and finish it similar to, that. I don't use a lot of fabric in my pillow finishes, but I think that's really cute, and I probably should, because I have plenty of fabric. So this is a quick little finish that I did. Literally, it takes like a night and an extra hour or two. It's such a quick little thing, but I think it'll be fun for summer, and I don't have a lot of small pin pillows for summer, so I really need some more. This one is from, that's my chart. Crowns and Shields from Blackbird, and I don't remember if I'd started this last time or if I'd just done a very itsy bitsy little bit, but I'm doing this one across the bottom because I love all the colors. And this is my progress on that one. And look at this little, look at this little spray of greenery around that tulip or whatever it is. It's just so pretty. And I'm just having the best time working on this. I'm kind of doing the alphabet and the border as I go along, as you can see, which makes it really easy to do. You know, sometimes if you start with the border, and you kind of get bogged down because it's the same thing over and over. And I have done the border first on some of my samplers, but I like this way a little bit better. And then you can see that you're on track and where you're supposed to be all the way along. So anyway, I'm gonna frame this. I think Alma has this. Yeah, she did it up as a little pillow on the bottom, which is also really cute. But I love things that are long frames like this. I just think they look interesting on a sampler wall because it's not the norm. So I'm looking forward to making this kind of a long framed piece. And I guess I'm about halfway done. I think that part is halfway, so hopefully I'll have a finish on that before too long. And then okay, let's talk about Stitch Mania for a minute because I started something for Stitch Mania, a plan. So Stitch Mania was started, I'm not sure when, years ago, and the thought behind it for the month of May, Stitch Mania, is you do new starts in May, and some people do a new start every day in the month of May. And I know I've talked about this on some of my other videos, but I just can't imagine having 31 new starts. Now, since I said that, and you know, probably 10 or 12 or 20 videos ago, I have come to realize I don't like starting things. I like picking things up and just being able to jump right in. I like having things kitted because I don't really enjoy kitting things up either. I want to just grab it and be able to go. So I get the starting thing. I can't do 31 starts. So some people do the number of starts that the year ends in. So this year maybe they do 23 starts for 2023. Other people do 1 start a week, which is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to share with you kind of that plan. Carol Saltbox Stitcher had a great idea. She's doing 5 for 5 in May, and that is 5 whips. She works on 5 days of that whip. So she picks up a whip, works on it for 5 days, picks up the next one, works on it for 5 days, and then I think she said the end of, so that leaves her with 5 or 6 days, and then she can go back and work on any one of those things when she gets done. I thought that was a great idea. I know Vanna the Twisted Stitcher is doing Monogamous May, where she is working on her beautiful Santa, and she's doing it the whole month of May. So there are a lot of ways to celebrate stitching in the month of May. But I decided that I was going to do a new start every week because I think I said this a couple of videos ago where I did my whips and kits. There's so many that I just want to start because I love them so much. So the first one I started this week is The Fall by Barbara Anna. I think if you like Adam and Eve samplers, or if you're going to do a Sunday school wall, or if you collect different samplers that have religious overtones, I think this is a great one to have on your wall because it tells the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. Now it is a lot of words. You can see a lot of words on both those sides, but those angels in the middle and that house, oh, I just think it's so pretty. And then this lady down here, I don't know if you can see her. You'll probably be able to see her better when I stitch her. She's got the biggest arms. It kind of cracks me up. I don't know if it's coming through or not, but quirky. It's quirky. So I just have done, I guess, 2 nights on it because then last night I did the little 46/1 craziness. So this is my start. And I'm doing it on, I think it's Confederate Gray. 40 count. And after I did the first line, I thought, this is a lot of words. I'm okay stitching words, but it's a lot of words. I think I'll stitch words on one side, then stitch those angels in the middle because I just kind of can't wait to get to those angels in the middle, and then I'll stitch the other side. But I have loved this pattern for a long time, so I'm really excited to have a start on it. And then, okay. So then my plan for the other starts, well, I've got options. Of course I do. Next week, I'm gonna start the Frances Eden sampler. Now, I love this one because it has no border, and I'm excited about that. Let me take it out. My friend Meredith is gonna start this with me. And so we're starting this on Monday. I'm starting my new starts on Monday, each Monday. There's Frances Eden by Handwork Samplers. I got my copy of this at the Attic, so give the Attic in Mesa a call if you want to look into that one. And I am doing it on platinum. Meredith, you asked me what I was doing it on. I'm doing it on 40 count platinum, and I have all of the threads ready to go. So that's next Monday. And then, okay, I was inspired by Grace the Paisley Stitcher and Christy Crosshatch Quilts because they're working on Frances Eden, and I have had, no, Elizabeth Furness, not Frances, that's what I just had. Elizabeth Furness, and I have had her kitted up for, I don't know, more than a year. And boy, both of them just have done such a beautiful job. Also, Grace, if you watch her latest video, she has done the middle part of Jane Bannister, which is also Hands Across the Sea, and I literally gasped when she held it up. It is incredible. I mean, you see these, of course you see the pattern, and you think, well, that's really pretty, but there's nothing like seeing it stitched, is there? I mean, people hold it up and you just think, that is even more stunning than I thought it was gonna be. So, I have this one all kitted up with a Versoix and Vintage Sand Dune, which I think is the called for. So that will probably be the third one I start. Sorry for the noise. And then I have two options for the fourth one. And maybe I'll just go ahead and do both and just go a week into June because I don't know how you pick. The first one is Isabella Fox, 1827 by GGR. I've wanted to do this ever since I saw Carol Saltbach Stitcher share hers. I took a screenshot of it and was so happy to get the pattern. I love the big, I could take it out for you so you can see it a little better. I love the big apple tree in the middle. Again, an Adam and Eve sampler, but a really big apple tree in there, and I just think that's really cool and very eye-catching. So if you're doing your Adam and Eve wall or your Sunday school wall or your sampler wall, I just think having a tree that large in the middle of a sampler is going to be very eye-catching. So I really want to do that one. And I kitted that up with paper bark from Fox and Rabbit and the called for threads. And then the other one that I really want to do is, I'm not going to want to clean up that mess that I keep throwing into a pile down there. The next one I want to do is another Barbara Anna, and that is, I'm not going to take it out, Snooty Parrots. Snooty Parrots, which I've talked about before, and I just love it. It is quite a bit of mirror image, but you've got some words in there and you've got words at the top to break it up. I think it'll be great. And I have that kitted up with, well, it looks like Gloriana. I must have gotten this at the Attic too. probably an attic conversion, and I think I'm going to change the fabric I have in there, so I'm not even going to show you that fabric because I want to do something different. So that is my plan for Stitch Mania. I've never done Stitch Mania before, but I'm really looking forward to starting all of these beautiful samplers that I've had kitted for a while, that I've wanted to start, and then it'll be easy for me to just pick it up whenever I'm feeling the urge to do that. I frequently work on things for a week at a time because I always want to have enough different things to show you for my next floss tube. So I never work on the same thing for a month. Usually in my mind, I have a place that I want to get to on that pattern that I feel like, well, that'll be good for a floss tube, and then I move on to something else. So I'm very used to working on things a week at a time. All right, the last one is the camp pattern, camp badge. These are the colors. So they're very bright, fun colors this year, all DMC. Now, Cross Stitch Camp this is our 3rd year. It's an annual event that we put on for anybody who wants to participate. It's virtual, so you're not having to go anywhere. It's free. It doesn't cost anything to join in with us. And you can join in for 1 month or 2 months or 3 months, whatever works for your schedule. So the way we do it is I give you 3 different challenges for the months of June, July, and August. And I give them all up ahead. I'm going to tell you all the challenges right now so that you can kind of plan. And if you need to order anything, you know, you don't have to do 3 separate orders all through the summer. You can just decide what you want to do and kind of jump in. And so this is my camp project bag from my friend Chris. Made this for me. She made one for one of the prizes for Cross Stitch Camp too, so you all might want to know about that. This has all of the past Cross Stitch Camp badges on it. So let's see, this was our first 2021, and then we do a 1-month February winter camp, so that was the winter camp. And then we did 2022. We did a sampler camp last fall. I'm not sure if we're going to do that again this fall, but that was the sampler camp badge. This was winter camp this year badge, and this is the new badge for our 2023 summer camp. Cute little birdie. So you've heard of the blue bird of happiness. This is the pink bird of stitchiness, right? So he's surrounded by a wreath of flowers. I did mine on 1/1 on 25 count. You do not have to do that. I just knew I wanted it to fit in that little spot, and now my whole front bag is pretty much covered up unless I do some littles up here, but I've got the whole back of the bag to go too. So this is a free pattern. Of course you don't have to do it. You can still participate in camp without doing your badge, but if you want to do one, and we always have a lot of people download them, so I think it's fun to do that. But I will link to the free pattern page below in the show notes, and you can just click over there and get your free pattern for that cute little stitchy bird of, no, pink bird of stitchiness, not blue bird of happiness. Okay, so let's just real quick talk about the summer camp. So we have 3 challenges, and each challenge starts on the 1st of the month and ends on the last day of the month. You need to start a new project, so it's a new challenge. Start a new project on the 1st, finish it by the last day. If you don't finish it by the last day, there are no penalties. Nobody's going to know, so don't worry about it. But you need to post on Instagram. Instagram is the social media of record, so that is how I keep track of who's participating, so that when the end of the month comes, I can use the random generator and draw numbers for prizes. So when you post, don't post before the 1st of the month. I only start on the 1st of the month to check for that month. Make sure you use these 2 hashtags. I'm just going to hold this up for a few minutes because I really want you to take a screenshot of that, because you wouldn't believe how many people use the wrong hashtags, and I know it happens, but I'm just going to hold this so you can see the number sign. That's the hashtag sign, hashtag Cross Stitch Camp 2023, and then hashtag and my Instagram name so that I'm tagged in that, so I can come see that you have posted. All right, so don't use Summer Cross Stitch Camp, don't use Stitch Camp, don't use any other hashtag but this one, because if you use a different one, I'm not going to see it. And I want to see it so that I can get you on our list. So if I have not liked your picture, and that means I clicked the little heart, so you see Colorado Cross Stitcher liked your picture. If I haven't liked it in a few days, then check and see if your profile is set to private, because if you're set to private, I can't see it unless we're friends, friends on Instagram. And if that's the case, and if you have checked it and it's public and I still haven't liked it, then go ahead and send me a message. You don't have to message me when you post, because I see all those posts. Just message me if there's a problem, or if you want to talk about something else. So these are the two hashtags to use. So on June 1st, if you're participating, you're going to take a picture of your pattern, not the pattern, just the cover of the pattern. And if you want to make it pretty and put out your fabric and your floss, that's great too. And then in the description of your pattern, you're going to leave these hashtags. And then at the last day of June, June 30th, or before, if you get it done earlier, go ahead and post a picture of the finished project. Doesn't have to be fully finished, just the stitching, and use these hashtags again. That way I get you on my list that you've started a project. I have you on the list that you finished a project. We do random drawings for everybody who's participated, whether you finished or not, and then I do a few extra drawings for people who finish their projects as well. So it is a benefit to finish. You get into more drawings, but everybody gets involved in it if they've started one. All right, and then July 1st, you're going to post your July 1st supplies, and then July 31st, you'll post the finished project. Same with August 1st and August 31st. So you have 1 month to finish the project. And again, if you don't finish it, don't worry about it. It's just something fun, no stress. So our challenge for June is going to be a pattern that has a bird in it. So any pattern you want, but it needs to have a bird in it. And so I think that I'm doing this one because I love all of Scattered Seed Sampler patterns, and she has so many birds and I just want to do all of them. So I'm going to do this one, I think, for my June project. In your July project, you're going to do a pattern that includes something that grows. So it could be flowers, it could be trees, it could be animals that grow, people that grow. So something that grows, that kind of goes along with our badge with the bird for June and the growing flowers for July. August is always try something new, because I think it's important for us to always be growing as stitchers. So August, it could be a new fabric color, a new designer to you, a new floss, a new way to finish something. So just try something new in August. So that kind of is wide open for you to decide on that. So you don't have to sign up anywhere. Like I said, just post on Instagram June 1st with those hashtags, and I will know that you're in for summer camp, and I cannot wait to see what you guys do. And if you want to see some real inspiration from past years, look up Cross Stitch Camp 2022, Cross Stitch Camp 2021, those hashtags, and you'll see there's over 1,000 posts on both of those. So it's super fun to watch what everybody's doing, and I'm really glad that it's that time of year again. Now, if you are a maker, a bag maker, or a thread keep maker, or a designer, or a shop, or anybody in the business, if you would like to donate prizes to Cross Stitch Camp, I would sure appreciate that. We keep all of the prizes in a big bin, and then I separate them all out and divide them between the months. And but we can't do this without people's help, and you guys have been so generous in the past to send some of your patterns and your bags and your beautiful work, and I know the people who've received them have sure loved them. I've posted all of the past winners and what they won on my Instagram, so if you want to go back and look at my Instagram and see the past 2 years of a lot of the different winners, or all of the different winners, all of the different packages, you can see that on my Instagram. So really excited about that. We also have a Facebook group. Now that you're welcome to post your pictures on that. That's not where I look to see the official lists, but it's fun to talk with each other and just see what everybody's doing. So that will be linked below too if you'd like to join that Facebook group for camp specifically. Okay, now this week when I sent out our shop email newsletter, I did a top 10 list, top 10 ways to personalize your projects. And I said in the newsletter, I'll show some samples of it or examples of it in my Flosstube coming up this weekend. So that's what I want to do now, and that's what is covering most of this table, is all of these different pictures that I brought home from the shop. So the first one is adding your name and date, and that's a pretty simple one. A lot of us have done that. We did that back in the day, you know, when a lot of us were stitching originally. So I will show you just an example of that. This is Salute to Abigail. It's in the Sweet Land of Liberty book from Blackbird. I did not pull the patterns for all of these. And you can see down here, I added my initials and the date. So that's what I'm talking about. You know, write your whole name out or just put your initials, either one. But that gives people a place of where it came from and also when it was done. And then I also, on the back of mine, put a library card where I put information about that particular piece. And that kind of helps people too in the future. If they want to know who did it, or if all of a sudden a whole bunch of framed pieces gets donated to the Goodwill, they know which ones go together. You know, that's probably where mine are going to end up. All right, so that's number one, is adding your initials or your name or your date. All right, the next one is to add a relative's name, birthplace, and date. And we've talked about this in the past, about how when I do a sampler, I really want to see, like, I love seeing my relatives' names on the samplers on my wall. Actually, most of my samplers are at the shop, but I love seeing my own relatives' names. That just makes it so much more personal and connective to my heart. And I know that there are a lot of purists who stitch reproduction samplers and think you just need to stitch the stitcher's name, and that's of course totally fine. I don't think that stitcher would necessarily care. I think that stitcher would probably be gobsmacked that somebody has recharted and sold a bunch of her patterns of something she stitched in the 1800s, and I think she would be just overwhelmed with the thought of all of us falling in love with her sampler. I don't think she would really care if you changed the name, but totally up to you. That is just a way to personalize. So I've got two examples of that. This is the Martha Scott sampler by GGR, and this one I did for Paul's grandma, Ruth Arnold. She was born in Stockton. I have the date down there, and I love this for her. She had the cutest little house. She was lived on a farm. She did an amazing amount of work. I mean, she was a worker. And this just reminds me so much of her, the sweet little house that she then moved to after she moved off the farm in Stockton or near Stockton. And so I love having this. So the original sampler said Martha Scott, who is the designer, the original sample stitcher. And so that's how I changed that. And another example I did for one of my grandmas, and that is the Gilles Leger sampler by Reflet de Soie. And I put her name and date and birthplace down at the bottom over here. And I did put Gilles Leger then over here, so that I kept that name also with it. But again, it is my goal to have samplers for all of my close relatives, grandparents, my husband's grandparents. So I've got a lot of work to do. But I will love that family wall. So that'll be my family sampler wall one day. So think about adding relatives' name, birthplace, dates. The next one is change the colors of some of the motifs. So here's one that I did, and this is a Lori Holt pattern, and I remember when I got it thinking, this is going to be so cute in different colors. I think that I did them in the called for colors here, but I want to do them in Christmas colors because wouldn't that be fun in Christmas? And then I figure I can actually put that on the back of this and turn it that way for Christmas time, and it would be fun to keep Christmas cards in here. Right now I just have old hoops in there. So that's what I mean by changing colors. Here's another example of, that's going to be a mess down there. Here's another example of changing colors. So this is a little pin pillow from the book Simone's Smalls by Atelier de Soie, and it was in red and green. No, it was in red and blue like this, and I decided to do a little Christmas pillow. So that's another example of just changing up some of the colors. Easy to do. Then another idea, this is number 4, replace some of the motifs in the sampler or the pattern with ones that you love. And I did this on a couple of different, well, I've done it on a lot. Okay, so this is a Savior's Praise, one of my favorite stitches. And first of all, I changed up the house color. The house color called for was white, and I wanted to do red. And then I changed up the bottom. So this was all, I think it was these reindeer. And I decided to do flowers on the bottom. I added a bee skep because there are a lot of bees around here. I did the second verse of this hymn because I thought that would be pretty there. So, you know, just change up whatever you want to change up on samplers. And if you're afraid that you're going to get in trouble for doing that, well, first of all, you're not. I promise you won't get in trouble. But secondly, who's going to see that to know what it was supposed to be like? If you put it on your wall and, you know, your day-to-day visitors, they're not going to know what the pattern called for. So do what's going to make it special to you. So I love this one, how it turned out. And another one I did that with is Houses of Hawthorne Hollow. And this is the pattern that got me back into cross stitching in, I think, 2017. After years of not doing it, I saw this pattern and I thought, well, I'm just going to do that one because I don't have a lot of space on my walls. And, you know, that was a slippery slope, as you can imagine. But on this one, I changed a few things. First of all, it had death verse. And I saw somebody post today on one of the Facebook groups, stitching groups that I belong to, and she said, what do you do if you really like a pattern but it has death verse? Death verse talks about death and dying, which was very common in samplers back in the day. Or if it's overly religious and you don't want to use whatever that's called for. Do you just not do that sampler? Do you replace it? And you know what? You can do whatever you want. So I didn't want the death verse on this, but I've seen a lot of people who've stitched that and it looks beautiful. I Googled different quotes about home and houses, and I just made it fit. I went into the same blocks that already had writing in it, and I just charted with graph paper my own quotes that I wanted and made them all fit. And I did have to change that last square down in the corner to fit the rest of the quote that I wanted. But I like how it turned out, and now it's very special and personal to me and my family. So always know that you can change whatever you want to on your patterns. There's no rules. And if you hear of a rule, you don't have to pay attention to it. All right, so number 5 is lighten or darken floss colors. So here's an example of this. Now this is also from that book Simone's Smalls, which is just a book full of beautiful patterns. And it did call for a blue and a red, but I wanted to do it on 36 count in sulkies, so I just picked 2 colors that I liked. So you can always swap out colors for ones that you have if you don't want to spend more money on flosses, or change them up like I did for the Christmas one, you know, do something in Christmas colors. This this instead of the red and blue called for. So always feel free to change up your colors, and that'll make it a little different. Change the fabric, so the background fabric. This is getting more and more common because there's so many fabrics that are called for that just aren't available or aren't readily available anymore. So hang on. One of the ones, no, I just scratched this frame coming home today. I gotta fix that. One of the ones that I changed was A Quaker Dwelling by Kathy Barrick. So the pattern shows this in white. I'm trying not to get glare from the lights. And I stitched it on, I think this is Havana. I know I've told you before what it is. Or straw, could be straw, Weeks Dye Works. Anyway, don't be afraid to switch up colors of fabric. And this is the reason that I tell everybody it's a good thing to have fabric stash, because when you have a pattern and it calls for a certain fabric color, if you've got fabric stash, you can pull the threads and you can lay them out on the different fabrics, and you can easily pick a different color that's going to look beautiful. Now when I pulled these threads for this particular pattern and laid them on top of this mustard color material, I just thought, wow, those teals really pop. Of course they would pop. They're whatever the color name is on the color wheel, they're good colors together. So just when you pull your threads and you have a fabric stash that you can pull a few different fabric colors that you think might work, what you're looking for is you want to make sure that none of the colors blend in too much. So if you're going to change a fabric, then make sure, like if it's a brown fabric and you want to go to a really light colored fabric, are there any threads in there that are really light colored that are just going to disappear on that light color? And then you have a choice, either don't use the light color or darken up that particular thread. So that's what you're looking for when you change out your fabrics. Are these colors going to pop on my fabric? And if you've got choices, that helps a lot for you to see the difference. Okay, 7, stitch parts instead of the whole. All right, so one example of this is from Teresa Kogut's Hello Halloween book, which is a fabulous book. And there's a sampler, a whole Halloween sampler on the front. And when I looked at that sampler, I didn't want to do the whole sampler, but I wanted to do every line of the sampler as a separate pillow or a pin drum, because it's just, every line is adorable. So this is from the bottom of the sampler, and it's about 2/3 of that row. And I did make up a couple of changes. I think the little pumpkin guy might have been black on the pattern, and I made him orange. And then I put little pumpkins along the fence post. But it's easy to look at something and take a little piece of it and make that a whole new project. Or you might look at that and think, well, I'll never do the whole thing, but I love parts of it. So always feel free to just do different parts, and that's personalizing it, because yours is going to look different than everybody else's. Another example of that, I brought my Santa collector and my snowman collector. So this is the whole piece, and then we did parts of that. So Bonnie, who works with me, stitched this. So she pulled this out. That's the Santa collector with this row of Santas. And then she pulled this little guy out, which he's right over here. So that's easy to pull different parts and pieces. And I specifically designed this pattern so that you'd be able to do that, because not everybody wants a whole piece that says Santa collector, but there are a lot of cute little Santas in there. And the other one is my snowman collector, which this is the whole piece. And then I did this snowman collector from right there. So I made a little individual pillow. And this guy was my favorite. I made a few of these for Christmas presents this year. Where is he? Up there in the corner. So it's easy to pull out different motifs that you love and just make them into little pillows. You can make them into bookmarks to gift. You can make them into little gift tags. But just remember, you've got a whole reference library in your patterns way beyond stitching it as a whole. All right, number 8 is add patterns in a series into one big picture. So instead of doing, and Blackbird has like their loose feather series that I didn't pull out, but I want to do that as a big. So it's 9 different individual patterns, which all look beautiful on their own. But my goal one day is to do all 9 of them in one big piece. Another one that I did was I took Brenda Gervais' Schoolhouse series, which is 4 patterns, and I made that all into one long piece. If you have patterns like this that weren't meant to be put together, like Brenda's pattern shows all of these in individual pillows, which is adorable also, all of those pillows in a dough bowl. But I had seen somebody on Instagram like years ago, probably 4 years ago, 3 years ago, who did it all in one long piece, and I loved that. And what I did, I first thought, well, I'm going to have to graph that all out, and I thought that's going to take forever. I don't want to do that. So what I did is I just started on one end and I just kind of fit it all in there. I had a general idea how long the fabric needed to be because I added up the length of all 4 of these and then added a bit more so I'd have plenty of room. But then I just started stitching along. So I stitched this, and then I knew that I wanted this guy facing the girl. It's opposite that on the pattern, so I just stitched him next, and I did some of that border, and I put her in, and I had to fill in a tree there, and so I just adjusted as I went along. So don't be afraid to do that. You can change things up, and you know what? If you do it and don't like it, you can always take it out. So don't think of it as a big, complicated project if you want to do something like this. Just jump in and start into it. Okay, let's see. Number 9. Add the names of cities, pets, friends, or addresses that you've lived in. Just all personal things from your family. So I've shown you this before. This is the Hands-On Design Meow pillow. These are super, super fun to make. All hand stitched. You know, I'm a big proponent of doing these because it's not done on a sewing machine. You just hand stitch it. But on the bottom of this, I put cats that have been special to our family. So that's how I personalized this one, and that makes this pattern or this little pillow really special to us. Another example of that, is the Village of Hawk Run Hollow. Oh, another big one. All right. So I changed a lot on this to personalize it for our family. So the top middle square, I put my grandfather, who was a minister, because it was a church square, and I stitched his, I think the church that he pastored at the longest, Hillcrest Baptist Church. And then, let's see, I did this for my daughter. She loves coffee. It was a tea shop on the original pattern, so I had to make it coffee and tea, but I put her name on this one. And this one I put my husband's name. This one I added our son's name. Down here I put the Arnold Farm because that is Paul's family had a family farm, the one that his grandma, grew up on or had when they were growing up. And so we changed that to the Arnold Farm. I put my elementary school in here. This one was a cemetery, and I didn't want to necessarily do the cemetery square, so I just changed it to a quilt shop for myself since all the rest of my family members were on here. So it was fun. It's fun to figure these things out. Like when you look at a pattern, just look at it and think, how could I personalize that? Like where could I insert fun facts about our family, addresses we've lived, houses we've had, pets we've had, special friends I've had. There are a lot of samplers you could do and add special friends' names. So it's just kind of fun to figure out how you can add a little bit more to just kind of make it more personal. All right, and then let's see. The last one is to stitch your family members' initials in a different color. And this is a tip from Sweet Daleen at So Grateful. And as soon as she said that, I thought I'm going to do that on as many samplers as I can, and I love that idea. So Daleen, thank you again for that. So again, I'm going to pull up Salute to Abigail, and you'll notice in my alphabet I did the P, S, D, and J in a different color. And I also did that on A Savior's Praise, which now I can't pull up really quickly, but I do that as often as I can. If it's, some samplers don't have the letter J because they didn't have the letter J back then, and so if it's a sampler like that, I don't do it because I don't want to leave out our daughter Julia and not be able to do her initial. But as often as I can, I try and do the different letters in there. Some of you have very large families and you'd be doing a lot of different letters, and that's totally cool. All right, so those are the 10 things. So just review. Add your name and date, number 1. Number 2 is add relatives' name, birthplaces, and dates. Number 3 is change the colors of some of your motifs. Number 4 is replace some of the motifs to ones that you love better. Number 5, you can lighten or darken your floss colors. Number 6, change the fabric background. Number 7, stitch parts of a pattern instead of the whole pattern. Number 8, add patterns in a series, individual patterns into one big, beautiful piece. Number 9, add the names of cities, pets, friends, addresses that you've had in your life that you want to commemorate. And number 10 is stitch family members' initials in different colors. All right, let's go on to my 3 things for this month, this Flosstube. Well, it's about every month. The first one is a book that my husband found. We're trying to figure out how to, we want to add 103s into the shop. They come on spools. We're trying to figure out how to display those because there are no display racks. And he's a great builder, so he can build me something. But he was researching and he came across this cool book, Selling Threads in Unique Cabinets. Now these are all old antique cabinets, and I'm telling you what, I wish I had every one of those. It's just the coolest book. So let me flip through so you can kind of see. And I know some of you do have a lot of these thread cabinets. Oh, I just would love a whole room full of these. All right, so I will link to this below. This was on Amazon. I don't know how much it was because he bought it, but it's probably not that much. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, okay, I just got this in the mail yesterday, but I was visiting my brother and my mom in St. Louis in April, and my brother had one of these, and I'd seen these before, and I don't really drink soda, so I didn't think that I needed one, but I do drink Waterloo, and so this is a Yeti Colster, C-O-L-S-T-E-R. And what you do is you unscrew it and you put your can in there. This is a can that came with it. It's kind of cute. So it's a Yeti can. The top comes off. I guess it's to store all your valuable things. I think you can buy it without this. Anyway, you put your can in and then you screw this top on. And my can of Waterloo stayed cold the entire day. And it was amazing. So if you drink cans of anything that you want to stay cold, then I suggest you look into one of these. They have tall ones too. I don't drink anything that's tall, but they have slim, tall cans. They have different options. But I've found in general, all of the Yeti products, I have a couple of mugs of theirs for cold drinks, and it just literally stays cold all day. So this, if you like cold drinks. My third thing is a new Instagram account for you, and this one is called Mr. Kidders the Cat, and there are periods in between each of those words because when you look up Mr. Kidders, there are a few Mr. Kidders Instagram accounts, but I will link the one I'm talking about below in the show notes. But this family puts a camera on their cat's collar, and then they post the videos of him running around the neighborhood, and it's hilarious. You'll see him climb a tree, you'll see him run up to another cat. He talks a lot, and I thought I'd read somewhere that cats really only talk to people, like that's a people thing, that they chitter at birds, but their actual vocalization, talking kind of thing is really to people. But this cat talks the entire time he walks. It's hilarious. So check out Mr. Kitters the cat on Instagram. All right, we're going to do project bag winners. I'm going to do question of the day, and then I'm going to show you 2 new pattern lines that we have at the shop, and then we'll be done. So last time, Kathy from our Stitch Night donated these 2 beautiful bags, and I told you to use the word green or blue, depending on which one you'd be interested in winning. These 2 bags. So the green one goes to Kim Rothermel, and the blue one goes to Sue Gooden, who is also Quilt Ma. So Kim and Sue, if you would contact me, my address is below, email address, and we will get those shipped off to you. And thank you, Kathy, again for donating your beautiful work. And then we have a drawing for next time. This one is from Joyful Stitching, Deborah. I always link to her below too, because she has an Etsy shop where you can find all of her project bags. And look at how cute that is. Summer gnomes. And let's see. The keyword is going to be summer. Let's say summer. So if you would like to be entered to win this, and it also comes with an accessory bag, which she always does for these giveaways, and then 2 skeins of DMC that go with it. Use the word summer in your comment if you would like to be entered into the drawing for that. All right, now, question of the day for next time. What is your favorite kind of project bag? Do you like project bags? See, I should have brought the examples. Okay, do you like project bags that are all fabric? Oh, well, this is it. Like Kathy's got all fabric on hers. Do you like project bags that have a vinyl window so you can see what's in there? Or do you put a tag on here to tell you what's in there? Or you just know because that's your favorite bag and you keep your favorite thing? So what kind of project bags do you like? Or are you somebody who uses Ziploc bags and that's good enough? Which frankly I used to use until I started seeing all the adorable project bags and started collecting those. So I'm happy to have all the fabric bags that I have for my projects. But what is your favorite kind of project bag? So leave that for the question of the day below. All right, the last thing is I'm just so excited to have both of these pattern lines in the shop. Our shop is coloradocrossstitcher.com. Thank you so much for your support and your orders. We just love packing your orders up. We love seeing what you're doing. Sometimes we'll be sending off the most beautiful palette of threads, but no pattern because you already have the pattern. And we just think, what is this pattern? Because this is going to be gorgeous. So we just so enjoy shopping for you, walking around the shop and pulling your orders. But these 2 pattern lines I've wanted for a long time. And the first one that we added in is the GGR line. And GGR has just the most amazing reproduction sampler patterns. And for a number of reasons, I wasn't able to get it. And for a wacky reason, I was able to get a bunch of them. And I don't know if I will be able to do that again. I know that's all like mysterious. It's not mysterious. It's just, yeah, we don't know if we can get them again, but we have them right now. And of course, the first one I'm only showing you a few. I didn't bring all of the patterns for the line, but Isabella Fox is one that I have been looking for since Carol Saltback Stitcher shared it on her Flosstube. And I, again, love the big tree. Another fun, I'm gonna have to put my glasses on because these fonts are Hannah Hammond's. Okay, this is another Adam and Eve, and I just love it. It almost looks like they're in a dome, like a snow globe, doesn't it? It's kind of fun. This one, I think the colors, even on this, she always uses the antique samplers on the cover, which is kind of cool to see. And I just think the colors on this one are going to be gorgeous. I haven't pulled it. I'm tempted to pull the colors. Oh, this is Elizabeth Reed sampler. That's pretty. this one, the rose wreath sampler. Wow. So that wreath is beautiful, but I also like the house and the strip of land, grass. So many pretty things in that one to work on. This is another one that I haven't pulled into my own stash yet, but I probably will. And this is Mary Applewhite, 1855. Another Adam and Eve sampler. And then Mary Bunsey, 1846. And this is another one where you just know the colors are going to be gorgeous. But I also love that bird down at the bottom, which I could see doing as just a plain, not a plain, just a pillow in and of itself. Remember our talk about pulling motifs out and just stitching those. Now this is the Martha Scott pattern that I did for Paul's grandma. So here's where I put Ruth Roberts Arnold and Stockton, and this is how it came with Martha's name and her age, which is charming too. Okay, this one is funny because when you read about it, it says Adam is represented by this pink guy and Eve is represented by a fruit basket. So it's an Adam and Eve sampler, but Eve's a fruit basket. Mary Forsyth and it's / Mary Brown, 1838. Isn't that funny? Look at that pink guy. Pink Adam. If you collect Adam and Eve samplers, I'm sure you have to do this one just because it's so quirky. Here's another quirky one that I've always wanted to do. The Big Cat sampler, Marianne Juncock, 1841. And this is just filled with motifs. It's got Adam and Eve, but the big cat in the bottom is just so fun. It's got a lot of beautiful motifs on it though. So again, we have a lot more than that, and get them while you can. And then the second one that I am so happy to have is the Historische Stickmuster from Germany, and gosh, they've just been delightful to work with. So they've got these really cool ones for each of the seasons, and I'm gonna have to order more because we've already sold a lot of these, but isn't this pretty? And here's another one, another example of just those squares of colors and then the beautiful motifs stitched, not on top. You're not stitching on top, so it's kind of full coverage in those little squares, but she has them for all different seasons and also different places, and they're really pretty. And then, okay, this one is another one of those that you want to get just for some of the motifs. It's got the most beautiful peacock I've ever seen. I want to do that peacock, just for fun. And then I also love, let's see, I can't see this backwards, this. Wouldn't that on its own framed be beautiful? Barach's Mustertuch. I need to learn German. Here's another one of those Saxony samplers that have just, I mean, this would really be pretty if you did the whole thing. But each of those rows have such cool motifs to do on their own or to do and make into a drum or a pillow. This one is beautiful for wintertime, and I don't think it's so, it doesn't have to be so Christmas centric. I think that that would work for a lot of wintertime projects, and you could do the whole thing or you could do some of those squares on their own. Here's another one for Christmas. Again, do it as a whole or do each of the squares. And it comes with two different color palettes. Look at that little stitcher in the corner. That would be a fun one to do on its own, wouldn't it? And the scissors. And the houses are cute. So fun. And then, okay, I talked myself out of this one because I thought I've already done Houses of Hawk Run Hollow. I've done Village of Hawk Run Hollow. And then the more I look at it, the more I think, yeah, I need to do this one too. American Houses. I love that this one is tall, like double-sized. And I wouldn't stitch American Homes here. I'd probably stitch our last name and maybe established in the year we got married, or you know, you could put anything you want, or you could put your address in there, or just something fun. But boy, those houses, each square is so pretty. It would also be fun to stitch each square and do a whole bowl full of pillows. And then this is kind of a companion piece, American Gardens. Again, I wouldn't put American Gardens across the top. I might put springtime or some other word, but look how pretty those are. Each one or all together. And then Quaker's Pride, oh, another one that's so pretty. And again, you can do it in these beautiful colors, or you can pick your own favorite colors, like pick the colors of your house, match your house decor, and do that. Looks like it's 5 colors. So it would be easy to pick colors of your own choosing. So those are 2 new lines that I'm super excited to have in the shop. And delighted to be working with these people. So I hope you enjoy them as much as I do. Again, thank you for your orders. We so appreciate it. Be sure to sign up for our email newsletter. You can sign up at the bottom of our homepage. I send out an email newsletter every week, sometimes with things we've gotten in that week, sometimes with top 10 lists like I did this week. So we'd love to have you as part of that. And thank you for watching today. I appreciate that you come back and watch. I love talking with you guys in the comments. I hope you subscribe if you're interested, and I will see you the next time. Bye-bye.